Well, welcome to Anatomy and Physiology. The very first thing I'll start with is read the syllabus you must. The syllabus is really long, but it contains all of the information that you need for this course in terms of like the logistics. So if you have any questions, go to the syllabus first. And if you can't find it in the syllabus, then ask me. Ask me through email. On the Canvas course, you'll also see my cell phone. So feel free to text me if you need an answer like right away. But otherwise, I check my emails every 24 hours. If you don't see a response within 24 hours, it may have gotten lost through it. So it's not done intentionally. Just shoot me another email saying, could you reply? All right. But the syllabus, essentially the syllabus will have everything you need to know on it. In terms of content, this course is divided into 4 main units and hence 4 main exams. The first one is Intro, Chem, Cells, Tissues, and Integumentary, or your skin. The second unit involves the skeletal system, joints, muscles, and nervous. The third unit covers the cardiovascular system, which includes 3 chapters, blood, heart, and blood vessels. And then the respiratory system, and then the digestive. The fourth unit covers the urinary, endocrine, and reproductive. We're going to be doing both male and female. So hence it's a general anatomy and physiology. It's not divided into half of the body systems. We cover the full body systems. And that's what is required by most healthcare programs. So it's going to be very intense, very, dense in terms of how much time we're expecting you to put forth. And that's kind of something I mentioned in my email. Usually students find intro relatively straightforward and chemistry a little bit more difficult. And then cells and tissues are also a little bit more difficult. And then as we move into things that are more relatable in terms of body systems, like the skeletal, bones, joints, muscle, nervous, heart, it gets more detailed, but it makes more sense. Where the unit 1 is more on like, microscopic things that, you don't really relate with. So it can appear to be a little bit more difficult, but just work through it. It will form the foundation that helps us to understand the next 3 units. Okay. Any questions so far?
So for like the exams and everything, for like the second exam, would it have like stuff from the first exam?
Beautiful question. It will not. Okay. So each exam will cover that specific unit, but that's a great question because you'll notice that the last exam is a final exam. Now the final exam is comprehensive. So it will cover everything from the very first unit to the very last unit. But each exam 1, 2, and 3 will be only on that content specifically. Although remember that I said that they build on top of each other. So you may see some references to previous things because, they're based off of that, but it won't be directly from that chapter. Great question. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
Is for the exams, some teachers, like, they don't let us reopen the exams to like study off of them for the final. Will we be able to reopen them to look at them again?
Absolutely. Every single one of them, the quizzes, the exams, once you've taken them, you can always open them and look at them. The only thing I do say though is that I only provide the correct answers 2 days after I open, I grade them and I post them. Does that make sense? So you take the exam and then once the exam period closes, I grade them and then I'll release them within like 2 to 3 days. And then once I release them, you have 2 days to see your exam and the correct answers. After which point, you can still see your exams and your answers, just not what the correct answers are. But yeah, that's a beautiful question.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, so for like the final exam, would it be like 50-50 for each test? Like it would be like 25% for the first exam, or like for each like exam?
No,
like that kind of?
The percentages are a little bit different, but it's very similar to that. So essentially, the final exam has 100 questions. 50 of those questions are on the new materials, the urinary, endocrine, reproductive, and then the other 50 is divided evenly amongst the previous 3 units. So there's about 2 to 3 questions per chapter of the old stuff on the final exam. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Other questions? I love this. Thank you for having questions. Okay. So some resources that you have on the Canvas site, once you go into it, each module has the lecture, the lab, and then the third component, which not a lot of students use, and they should, excuse me, is the navigational materials. That is materials that I highly recommend. You're not required to do them, but they're just so useful for students. They break things down. They focus on things that students tend to have difficulties with. So please make sure to use the navigational materials on Canvas. Then every week, mostly every week, I'll send out an email, and in that email, I provide, you know, the supplemental materials that I've made specifically for this course. I highly recommend that you do them. 2 main things that I provide for this course is 1, supplemental videos, and that's where, again, we break things down a little bit further, because you'll find that the lectures on Canvas that you are required to know goes through all the information that you need to know, but you know, because we want to make it shorter than longer, it doesn't really break it down and expand more in a way that's more digestible, where the supplemental videos that I provide will do that. And then I also provide the second thing that I highly recommend you do is the worksheets. Okay, do your studying and then do the worksheets. Okay, that helps you to assess what do you know and what you don't know. Okay, so do the worksheets. You know, when I do surveys of students, what helped them the most, they say doing the worksheets. Okay, so please do the worksheets. And then there's a lot of external resources. One that I found is very reliable is Khan's Academy. If you find any external resources that you think might be helpful for you and the rest of the class, please share them with me. And then what I can do is I'll share them with the rest of the class. Okay, questions?
I did have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
So with the videos that you put on there, the supplemental course videos, and you might have already said this, but also with the textbooks. So I've noticed that like the definitions are sometimes they're different. What is the exam going to be covering off of more? I think you did say it. I just missed it.
No, I didn't, but that's a great question. The exam is based off of the content that we provide on Canvas. And it should be pretty much, you know, we base the content off of that textbook. So it should be pretty close. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a chat.
Oh, yes. Thank you. The activities that you listed in email are those appendix in the book. Activities that I list in the emails. No, the part where I say like what you do on a weekly basis, is that what you're talking about, Danielle? If it's the part where I say to do like on a weekly basis, like step, you know, 1, do this, 2, okay. So with that, it is part of the materials that I put on Canvas. So if you go to Canvas, go to the lecture and go to the lab, there are like, for the lab specifically, it's a PDF. So go to Canvas, go to that module, go to lab, and under lab, there's a PDF. And in the PDF, there's activities 1 through 4. I think the activities that you were referring to is specifically with the lab component. Yeah, great. Okay, so now what we're going to do is that we're going to go through the main assignments that you're responsible for doing, and then the grading rubric for them, so that you know what I'm going to be grading you on, and you're not surprised. So on a weekly basis, except for when you have exams, you will be posting discussion videos. Okay, the first discussion video is very generic. It's like, tell me about yourself, let me know about you. Okay, but then the videos afterwards are going to be based on content that will help me see kind of where the class is in terms of understanding the content, as well as you learning from each other. Again, one of the things that students really love about this class is the discussion videos. Once you get used to them, they're actually quite helpful because you have to know your content before you can explain it to someone else. So it actually helps you go through and learn the materials as you're doing this discussion. And as always, you know, sometimes I may say something and it's like, it doesn't click for one person, but when you hear it from a different person, then it clicks. And that's why we do them. It's benefiting you because it gives you a chance to really go through and learn the materials deeply. And then it also benefits other students, so that sometimes hearing it from you might be better than hearing it from me, okay? So what am I looking for in the discussion videos? Always begin your video with your name, date, and topic that you're presenting on, and the content. So after this first one, the next one will have content topics that you'll choose to do your videos on. So that's worth 4 points. So if you cover the content, then it's worth 4 points. You must have a narration. In other words, you have to be explaining it. And that's 2 points. So it can't be just like a PowerPoint slide that's going through without you talking about it, you know, talking through it. Because that's the point of the discussion video, so that you can figure out, you know, be able to explain the content. So it has to have an audio description. Some students play music, that doesn't count. Okay, so you have to be narrating, you have to be explaining your discussion. That's worth 2 points. The other 2 points is for visuals. Now this one is what students lose points on mostly, the visuals, okay? The visuals is very specific. You must have a visual that helps to explain your topic. Like it can't be just a generic video, or it can't be a picture of a water slide, so on. It's gotta be a visual that supports your discussion topic first, okay? Secondly, it's gotta be a visual that you create. In other words, you have to draw it yourself. You can't use something that's already been done, or you can use a model of it, or you can like act it out. But it has to have a visual that you create yourself. It can't be any template of like a heart that you then draw further on. No, it has to be something that's 100% created by you. Okay, so some students interpret that they can take images off of the internet and then they draw more stuff on it. Then so technically they create that new one, but no, it has to be 100% from you. Okay, so don't use any images from the textbook, any images elsewhere. You have to create it, whether it's building a model or acting it out or drawing it, or you be creative, but it's got to be a visual that supports what you're discussing. Okay, so that makes up 8 points. Then the last 2 points is based on, because this assignment is not for me necessarily, but more for you. So you will be watching each other's video, commenting it, and then providing feedback to each other. So for me, I just go through this checklist. Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And then I give you the points. This is probably one of the easiest points to get. This is where you can make mistakes. So I'm not, you know, try to be correct, but you know, I'm not grading you on you have to be 100% correct. I'm just grading whether you did it or not. So there should be no reason why you can't get a perfect score on this. Okay. So, and that's based on the fact that you are providing feedback for each other. So watch the video, watch each other's video, and you're required to watch at least 2. Watch more, why not? But you're required to watch at least 2. And when you're watching it, provide feedback, okay? So you're gonna get 2 points for providing feedback. And the feedback that you provide has to contain constructive critique. In other words, oh, I thought the mitochondria produces energy, but you said that it produces DNA, okay? So watch it, see if you can help catch anything that your peers made a mistake on. So that's one, constructive feedback. Or the other type of constructive feedback would be that the first one is most important, but the second one, if you can't find any mistakes in their video, you can say, maybe it would be nice if you had, you know, your video landscape instead of portrait so that it's wider. Or if you can write things out, you know, it could be on the actual video itself. Does that make sense? Okay, so watch at least 2 videos, provide constructive feedback on both. And that's where the 2 points are going to come from. Okay, questions?
So what type of like video app should we be using? That's what I would be asking by now.
Perfect, perfect. So there's an actual guideline. Once you go into the very first video discussion assignment, there's this long guideline of like what we're expecting. You can do it several ways, but honestly, the best way to get feedback is to either do your video and post it on YouTube and then link it to YouTube, or on Canvas, you're able to make videos on Canvas directly and post those videos. Those are the ones that tend to get most views and most feedback. Some students make a video and then they don't process that video and they just upload it as a file. That means that people have to download it as a file and then open it. So there's tend to be less feedback on those. Okay, so if you want feedback, fast feedback, two things I would recommend. One, either do the video on your camera, on the computer, whatever you want, and then convert to a video that can be uploaded to YouTube, and then link it to YouTube. That's like the easiest way to watch someone's video. And that means that you'll get more feedback. The other one is to record directly on Canvas so that the video's there. The third option is to upload as a file. But again, when you upload a file, someone has to download the file and then open it so it's multiple clicks. Okay, great question. Other questions? And people use various apps. Like I've had some videos that are better than mine, like completely better than mine. And I'm like, maybe the class should watch that instead of mine. But yeah, there's a lot of apps that you can do videos on, depending on how tech savvy you want to get. Okay, other questions?
I have a question. It might sound like a silly one. Does this rubric also apply for the intro video?
No.
The first one? Okay.
No.
I thought.
Yeah, the first one is
So
just,
we need to take a,
I'm sorry, I cut someone off?
I'm sorry. I was gonna say that if we need to record the video for the first one as well.
Yes.
And could it be like only auditory, or is it also camera? You have to show your face.
It would be nice to show your face because that would be your visual then.
Okay.
But if you're not comfortable, then you can put a picture of yourself and then narrate over it. But it's nice. It helps to create kind of community. But again, do it based on what you're comfortable. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So the other weekly assignments include quizzes. The quizzes are open all week long. So if Sunday night at 10:50 you email me and you say you can't take the quiz for some technical problems, or you didn't get the time zone right, there is no makeup for those. There's no makeup, there's no retakes. They're open all week long. You can take them anytime. So my point is, please don't wait until Sunday 10:50 to take them. Okay. You will have, each week, you will have both lecture and lab quizzes. So 2 quizzes, a minimum of 2 quizzes, sometimes 3, but a minimum of 2 quizzes per week, 1 on lecture and 1 on lab. If you go to the module, it'll tell you exactly what those quizzes are on, okay? Everything, quizzes and your exam, require Respondus lockdown browser as well as webcam, okay? The webcam is optional for the quizzes only, but I recommend you using it because the more you get familiarized with it, the less glitches you'll have when you take your exam. Because the webcam on the exam is not optional, it is required, okay? And it's not because, you know, it's an online class or anything like that, because if you take any exams, even in your face-to-face or in your program, everything is proctored, okay? So get used to using the webcam, make sure that your computer can handle the webcam, And that's why I recommend you using them on your quizzes. I don't check them ever on your quizzes. Excuse me. Okay. I've gone through and I checked everything. And in the past, we used to require a password. We don't anymore, but in the case it ever reverts back and either your quiz or your exams require a password, it is always anatomy. Always anatomy, okay? So it shouldn't require that of you, but if it does, then it's anatomy, okay? So for the lectures quiz, it's always on the current lecture module or modules, depending on how many modules we do. It's always 10 questions, all multiple choice, okay? Lab quizzes, current week's lab module or modules, 10 write-in identification questions and spelling counts. So you should practice not only being able to identify a certain structure, but also how to spell it. Okay. There are no makeup, no retakes. There's a practice quiz that you can take anytime, as many times as you want, that practice quiz to make sure that your computer is compatible with Respondus Lockdown on the webcam. Okay, and you should take that by Wednesday, the practice quiz. Okay, use the quizzes as a learning tool. Go back. Once I've graded them, always go back and review them. Why did I get this question incorrect? Did I have it incorrect in my notes or did I not study it at all? Okay, you can look at your quizzes anytime, but the correct answer will be only available 48 hours once the grade has been released. Questions on your quizzes?
Oh, so we have practice quizzes?
I'm sorry?
Sorry. Do we also, for the practice quizzes, is it like free for all? Like you can just go in and you can get
there's
in
just
without
one practice
getting
quiz. Yep. So there's just one practice quiz, and that one practice quiz just, it's pretty much on the syllabus, just making sure you've read the syllabus and understand everything. But what's nice about that is that if you are moving from computer to computer, it'll just make sure that the systems are correct so that you can open Respondus Lockdown browser without a problem. Okay. Yeah, but it's a free for all. You can take it as many times as you want just to make sure that your computer is compatible. Okay. Other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know if this is already said, but what are like the time limits for the quizzes and the exams?
Great question. Each quiz you have 1 minute per question. So both lecture and lab quizzes have 10 questions each. So that means you have 1 minute. And then on the exam, if it's a 30 question exam, you have 30 minutes. If it's a 50 question exam, you have 50 minutes. If it's a 100 question exam, you have 100 minutes. So essentially we stick to the standard of 1 minute per question. Now, if you qualify for extended test taking, I highly recommend you contacting the Learning Center, okay, and seeing if you qualify for extended test taking, if you have conditions that qualify you for that. Okay. Do use any resources that you can. So go to the Learning Center, okay? These quizzes are closed book, closed notes, no cell phones, anything, particularly your exams. So during your exams, you can't use any notes, can't have anything around you, and that's why we have the environmental scan, and you can't have your laptop, sorry, not your laptop, your cell phone around either, okay? It's just to make sure that's fair for everybody, okay? So all of your assessments, your quizzes, and your exams, closed book, closed notes, is just you and seeing where you are at, okay? So the breakdown of the grades, discussions, there's 7 that you do, but I dropped the lowest. So usually because they're, easy points, if students do 6 of them, they usually just skip the last one, okay? Because I do drop 1. Or let's say you do them and then you get sick one week and you just feel like you don't want to do it that week, that's completely fine. Because again, I always drop the lowest one. For the lecture quizzes, you have 11, and I will also be dropping the lowest one for that, as well as for your lab quizzes. You have 13, I dropped the lowest one. But do save them in case like you get sick one week or something happens, okay? You can see that the quizzes, both lecture and lab, are worth very little percentage. Each quiz is probably like 1% or less, because it's not really meant to, you know, they're low stakes so that you can feel more comfortable taking them and using them as a learning tool. Okay, your exams, exam 1, 2, and 3 are worth 13% of your grade. So that's where you want to focus your, make sure you set aside enough time to prepare for those. And then your lab exams 1, 2, and 3, they're worth 4% each. So you can see the bulk of the grade is on the lecture content. Okay, questions on this? Okay. So the course layout, hopefully you've had a chance to go on and look through everything. A couple things I want to make sure that you do look at is setting the notifications. On Canvas, you can set the notifications so that if I make any updates to Canvas site or I release any grade or anything, you can choose to have that notification text to you or emailed to you so that you're aware of any changes I make or any grades I release. Please email me through your St. Kate's University email rather than the Canvas inbox, because Canvas has an inbox, but that email I don't get notified. So it may take me 1 to 2 to 3 days to reply. So please email me through your St. Kate's email. And that's where I email you initially for the, my first email to you is through the St. Kate's email. That one I check like 5, 10, 15, 20 times per day. So that's the best way to communicate. If you email me through Canvas, I cannot guarantee that I can reply within 24 hours because I don't get notifications of those. Okay. All right. So the course layout on Canvas looks very similar to this. There's a home, syllabus, announcements, modules, discussion, assignments, grades, and people. There's student resources, modules, course material, and then course member profiles, and then the assignment due dates. Just to give you an example of what the course layout looks like. Then on the home page, there's a welcome, there's a getting started, kind of and then there's a what to do or to-do list. And this one is really important and nice because it tells you the due dates and the points for each assignment. Now, these due dates are deadlines. In other words, you must finish them, submit them by that time and not start them, okay? So it's not like, oh, at 11:59, I can start this. No, these are due dates, meaning it will close and kick you out at that time, okay? If you're taking any quizzes or exams and something does happen, hopefully you followed my recommendation and taken them well before the very last period of time in which you can take them. Send me a text. That's when you really want to get an immediate response. So text me right away, and then I can help and I can go through and see if there's anything I can do to help. Okay. Now, in order for me to help you, 1, you must not have seen the question. So if you encounter problems, get out of it right away and just text me immediately. Okay, because if you viewed all the questions and then something happens, I can't open it for you because you've seen all the questions. Okay. So do one question at a time, do one question, answer, one question, answer. So if something does happen, you get kicked out, send me a text. I'll look at it and say, okay, this happened and so on, and they haven't seen the rest, and I'll let you do the rest. Okay. But if you've seen everything, then I cannot let you do it. Okay. All right. Questions on that? Okay. Syllabus. What have I told you? The information you seek is in the syllabus. Always check the syllabus first and then shoot me an email if you have questions. And also don't be offended if you ask me a question and I say, please check the syllabus. Okay. Announcements. Thinking Storm, if you need tutorings, Thinking Storm, I think part of your benefits is that you have online tutoring through Thinking Storm, I think like 10 or 15 hours that you can use. General course announcements, I will be emailing those out to you on a weekly basis. I also provide study guides or preparing for exams And usually I send that out 1 week before exams. Last term, they asked me to send it out really early, and it just confused a whole bunch of students. So this term, I'm just going to send it out as, you know, as needed. And if you are the type that can handle things earlier, then shoot me an email and I will send you a list of like all the links so that you can go to whatever link you want. Okay. So the course layout, the modules are arranged by week. So you can see for week 1, we have introduction and assignments. You have the practice quiz that you need to take by Wednesday. For week 1, you are responsible for both module 1 and module 2. You'll do the discussion, that's your introduction, and then you'll have the lecture quiz and the lab quiz. And you can see that it tells you exactly what's on the quizzes, right? So that lecture quiz 1 includes both the introduction to anatomy and physiology and the chemistry. Okay, so don't be surprised when you see questions from both of these modules. Lab quiz 1 is going to be on major biocavities and terms. So it'll tell you exactly what the quizzes are on for both lecture and lab. Questions?
So I had a question. With the exams, it says it's open from Sunday to Monday. So is it are they open for a full week?
No, just the quizzes are.
Okay, that's just the 2 days. So Sunday, Monday.
Yep.
Okay. I
Exams
wanted to
are,
make sure it wasn't a whole week.
yes. Exams have a shorter period of time. So they are only open from midnight on Sunday. So you essentially 11:59, right after 11:59 Saturday, they're open. Okay. So midnight on Sunday until 11 p.m. Central Standard Time on Monday. Yep. And you don't have to take both of them at the same time. You can take one first, then the other. Okay. But same, you know, kind of same thing. They're open, you know, for over 48 hours. So please don't wait until 10 p.m. Monday to take them, because then really, I cannot help you. Okay. If some technical problem should occur. Okay.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So for the lab and the lecture, for the exams, would it be like 2 different things, or would they be like moved together into one?
They're separate.
Okay. So they're like 2 different exams?
Yep. Just like 2 different quizzes.
Okay.
So you have a lecture quiz and you have a lab quiz. You have a lecture exam, you have a lab exam. Yep. And you don't have to take them back to back. You can if you prefer, but you don't have to. Okay. So each module looks like this. They'll have a set of objectives and then the lecture component. In the lecture component, you'll find that there's an outline. And that's what I would recommend you use to rewrite your notes. Okay. You should write your notes as you're watching the videos, and then you should rewrite your notes using the outlines, because that will help you place them, categorize them, so it's easier to recall on the exam. Okay. There's also PowerPoint slides that you can follow with, and then there's the script. The script pretty much is what we read when we narrate the PowerPoints for you. In case, because sometimes, you know, students have a better time taking in information when they're reading it rather than when they're hearing it. So we provide pretty much everything. We provide audio, we provide, you know, the script for you if you prefer to read what we're saying. So multiple ways in which you can follow. And then the video itself. Okay. Now here it says read the Saladin textbook. I will tell you this, you know, the exam questions will come directly from the script, what we lecture, the video. Okay, so will come directly from the content that we give you. And the reason for that is because the textbook is beautiful, but it's meant for general and advanced anatomy physiology. Okay, you're going to feel like we give you a lot of information, but when you compare it to all that's in the textbook, it's not even half. Okay, so that's why I would say I would recommend that you focus on the content given to you on that video, script, PowerPoint outline. And then if you want more examples or further explanation of things, go into your textbook. Okay, some students read the textbook to study, and then they'll find that they don't do so well in the exams because they learn so much more, and we only quiz on a more narrow amount of information, and that narrow amount of information is what we cover in the videos. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Make sense? So you can do whatever you want, but as a student, I would strategize and focus on the video, script, PowerPoint outline, and then use the textbook as supplemental. Okay. Questions?
So would everything be here, everything we need and everything we need would be on this page necessarily, right?
Each module, yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, everything you need is already there. Yeah. So for the lab, that's where you'll also find the textbook to be very useful, because the textbook has larger images or clearer images that you can go into and look at. So for the lab, download the PDF, and that's where Danielle asked about activities 1 through 4. They're in the lab PDFs. And then watch the video. Okay. A lot of times students are like, I already have the script. Why do I have to watch the video? Trust me, you need both. That video, helps you kind of break things down and help to explain it in a way that you can't get by just reading the script. Otherwise, I just tell you to read the script and read the textbook. Okay. Then on a weekly basis, this is what I would recommend, so that this is not a class that you want to wait until the last minute to do things, or would you be able to be successful by doing that? Regardless of how good of a student you were in the past, you'll find that this course is very intense. And even if you're like the smartest person in the world, you still have your brain capacity has so much that you can absorb in a certain amount of time. So I would highly recommend you break things, down and do a little bit each day. So Monday, Tuesday, watch the videos and take notes. Wednesday and Thursday, rewrite your notes, edit the notes using the script and put in the images into your rewritten notes, and then do the video assignment that's need to be posted by Friday. Then on Friday, review your notes, whether it's by flashcards, question and answer, or if you have Quizlet or any other app that you have that helps you study. Listen to the video again, because when you listen to the video a second time, at this point, it should make a heck of a lot more sense. Okay, do the worksheets. Okay, now the worksheets, there's worksheets in the navigational materials, but there's also worksheets that I will be emailing to you. And I actually would prefer you to do the worksheets that I email to you over the worksheets in the navigation materials. And do both if you have time. Okay, but if you have smaller amount of time, you have to prioritize, do the worksheets that I provide to you in the email first. And anytime you use any active learning, like cognitive maps, that's going to help so much when you're taking this intense course. Then on Saturday, Sunday, save that for your taking the quiz day. Okay, because your brain, just like, that's just how brain physiology works, is that it needs time to process the information. And the more you get exposed to something, the better you will be able to pull and recall. Okay, questions? Hopefully, yeah.
Yes. So for that weekly schedule, I kind of like how you broke it down. Would we be able to like print that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to email you once I finish recording this session and processing it, and then uploading it to YouTube. I will email you the link to this recording as well as the PowerPoint.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Other questions? I hope you feel better about the course. It's really, really, really fun. It's intense, but it really is fun. It's doable, completely doable. Just give me the time, give me your time, give me your effort, and I will do whatever I can to help you cross the line, finish.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Would you be like emailing the worksheets like through midweek?
No, I always email the worksheets at the beginning of the week. Oh, are you saying you want them earlier?
Oh, no, I was just wondering. Like usually.
No, I always email them. I usually, because I set them on a, like I do them ahead of hand and I set them to be sent out. Usually I have them sent out on Sunday.
What about for this week?
They're already emailed
Do you
out.
need
That's,
any- Really?
yep, the very first email I sent out, they should be in there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Because I'm still getting hand of things, so.
yep. No, always ask questions.